Anime back then, especially like that era, Full Metal Alchemist, I was introduced to not too long after Inuyasha, Gundam Seed, Code Geass, even all of those shows during
Code
that
Geass was my
era.
next one.
Code Geass was incredible, and just all of those animes, they were so impressive, and they left a huge impact on me. I really miss that era of anime.
Actually, you remind me of other things too, because sorry, in between those two stories, um, I actually found the bookstore. I also lived in Malaysia for a couple of years. There's a bookstore called Kinokuniya, and this is the first time I actually saw manga like in the wild, like in a bookstore to buy. The author of Inuyasha created this series called Ranma Half. So I bought like in my 3 years of living there, I bought every single volume from 1 to 35, or there's 36 volumes. I bought 1 to 35. As I was leaving, the 36th volume that had always been there was gone. I was so pissed. That was another way that I got into manga as well. And I found this old website called onemanga.com. It
Yeah,
doesn't exist anymore. It
yeah.
doesn't exist anymore. Um, and I just remember I was reading Kaicho wa Maid Sama as it was coming out. And that's why I got so into anime because I was like, I don't know how else to find it. I don't think Manga Fox even existed back then. It was very difficult to find. And luckily, somehow, I was able to find like Ranma Half the anime on YouTube in like 3 parts per episode or something like that. Um, so yeah, I guess my exposure to anime and manga has been like all throughout my life. What does it mean to me now? I don't really watch it as much anymore. Sometimes like if I get like demotivated with cosplay, I try and like watch it to find some inspiration, things like that. Especially like during the pandemic. Holy crap, I watched so much anime during the pandemic when I was bored. Um, so yeah, I think it's a very good source of entertainment. And I think that the stories like like anime and like K dramas are like I don't know if I want to say like more relatable to me compared to like Western media, but in a way it is.
It's amazing what anime and manga can do for your perception of storytelling. And that's why I think anime and manga are some of the greatest mediums for expression. I absolutely love comic books, but reading Batman or detective comics, action comics, all of those is very different from seeing Naruto chapter 1 all the way up into the 600s, and the journey that you go on, it's so different. I feel differently when I go back to Rumiko Takahashi's old work. Like Mason Ikoku means so much to me, and it's something that I discovered a little later in life, but just coming across it and reading it, it had a stronger impact on me and the way I view relationships at a time when I just started getting into relationships. But then I look at other series and they didn't quite have that impact for me. I'm not sure what it was, but it's just even now today, like as much as I still love comic books and I probably read more comics and I'm more into superheroes and anime nowadays, I resonate more with the stories that are told in that medium.
I think also though, because you were saying that it kind of introduced how you perceived relationships. I think it actually like ruined my perception of relationships because I was like, I want to meet some boy and like smack into him in like the street, fall over, we switch bodies and things like that. Obviously, that's never gonna happen, right? So like,
Unfortunately, not.
it's so sad. Or like the transfer student. Actually, a transfer student story did happen to me, but that's another story for another time. But like the transfer student story where like some foreigner comes from like, an international place, like wow, he's so cool. Oh, but he's interested in me. What? Like it gives a lot of unrealistic like because I grew up with it. It gives a lot of unrealistic expectations as to like what life is like. But still, it's so fantastical. You just can't help but enjoy it. Especially now, like as an adult, like you can, like that's never gonna happen, right? But it's still something you can enjoy. I read like so many shoujo mangas like when I was a teenager, but I can't anymore because first of all, it's actually really cringy, but like I think I'm just past that point where I prefer the more like deeper stories that they have. The like I like to read or not read. I don't really read manga anymore. I like to watch like seinen anime or like the mafia stuff, which I just find really interesting how they do that, which you can't really achieve with like live action movies or things like that as well. I have a lot to say about it. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. No, I feel you on that. Like I absolutely love shojo. Shojo just it really really slaps. Like that's all I can say. When I was coming up, I didn't differentiate between shonen and shojo. Those are labels I didn't really know until like the big three was a thing. But by that time, I was already so deep into so many different series that I was really just like whatever anime was out, whatever manga was out, I would seek it. And it wasn't until really like Inuyasha kind of was like in my life and I really stand that series. I was picking up on the fact that I'm into this. It's action, it's bloody, it's gory, it's cool, but there's something different about it than other shows that have the same action and gore and blood and guts, and it had to do with the shoujo element. And I've really loved shoujo like Vampire Knight, the Mason Ikoku that I mentioned,
Oh my god.
Fruits Basket, Original Run, His and Her Circumstances, all of those series I really love. Paradise Kiss, Nana, and then well, shoujo's not very prevalent today. It's all like rom-coms and like ecchi stuff, so it does take away like what I like from that genre, but at the same time it really did, like you said, it gave me a perception of what relationships could be, and even though they never happened, it was still enjoyable. I enjoyed seeing shoujo relationships develop more than I enjoyed seeing Rachel and Ross trying to get back together, for how many years.
Ugh. For me, because I consumed so much shoujo content as a teenager, like I literally was on Manga Fox and Manga Fox, Manga Fox, and like you know how like there's like the filters that you can like turn off for like stuff that you're interested in, or I don't know, just to like search for like specific kinds of genres for each manga. I had like it bookmarked, and I literally went through all of the shoujo like mangas from like A to Z that were like
Really?
at the time. This was like this was a long time ago. And I skipped over the ones that I didn't seem interested in and stuff like that. But I literally went from like A to Z. So that's why I kind of got to the point where I was like, I can see what's gonna happen now in a shoujo manga. Hence why I'm no longer interested in it. But my friend recently tried or is trying to get me into, what was it? Kami-sama Kiss, which I never watched. And it's still funny. It's still really cute. I'll rewatch Kaicho wa Maid-sama over and over and over again. It's so good. But I mean, just because you know what's going to happen at the end doesn't mean it's not enjoyable, right? So.
That's true. That's true. I watched How I Met Your Mother like 3 times, even though I knew what was going to happen, even from the first go.